if you want to have uncommon financial success, you've got to play both offense and defense when it comes to money. Most of the over-the-counter, what I call common financial wisdom, talks about it really has you playing defense all the time. So think about things like a budget or saving money or, put money in your 401k. And all those things are good, but it really has you on the defensive side of the money game. Now, when you come on the offensive side of the money game, you're talking about how do you explode your income. You're talking about entrepreneurship. You're talking about becoming an investor. That's when you're getting on the offensive side of the ball. And this is what I've learned in over 3 decades of doing this. You will never win the money game just playing defense. I like to use the analogy of there's a young man by the name of Patrick Mahomes, and he plays for the Kansas City Chiefs. Those of you who may know who Patrick Mahomes is, and the Kansas City Chiefs have an explosive offense, meaning you are not going to beat that team scoring 7 points or 14 points. You've got to get over there around 24, 27 points. Basically, you got to put some points on the board. And what I found is that most people spend their whole life playing defense when it comes to the money game, that they never get on the offensive side. And this is what you got to understand. Every January 1, that begins our personal fiscal year. And as you're beginning your personal fiscal year, this is what you got to understand. You are fighting 3 enemies every January 1st. You're fighting debt, you're fighting taxes, and you're fighting inflation. Those are the 3 enemies that all of us fight beginning on January 1. Now, this is what you know. Inflation, let's start with inflation. Well, inflation, you know that things are going to cost some more this year than they cost last year. Things don't tend to go up. They don't go down. They tend to go what? They tend to go up. So that's inflation. Then you talk about taxes. You know you're going to pay 4 or 5 different taxes every year. So you're going to pay what? You're going to pay income tax. You're going to pay sales tax. You're going to pay excise tax. You're going to pay property tax. I like to joke and say next they'll be talking about oxygen tax. That's taxes you pay just for breathing. So, you know you're going to have these taxes. And then you know that you have some sort of debt payments. So if you don't have some sort of offensive game plan to overcome debt, to overcome taxes, to overcome inflation, you'll never enjoy uncommon financial success.
With DBJ Enterprises, what kind of clients are you reaching? What organizations, right. Individuals?
More individuals. So people who I find our sweet spot are really people who are like in their late 40s, early 50s, recognizing that the traditional methods of maybe building wealth has not worked for them or hasn't worked fast enough for them. And so they're coming to us to say, okay, how can we expedite this? Because I'm looking at retirement or I'm looking at taking care of my parents and I got a lot. So I'm sort of a sandwich person and they want to get some things done faster. It's never too late because I think real wealth is really one of my messages is that you're the asset. Meaning if you learn how to dig on the inside of you, there's always ways to monetize what's surrounding you, what's within you. And then, the real estate, all the things, those are just tools that we use to do that. And one of my favorite stories is, I don't know if you're familiar with Colonel Sanders. He started KFC when he was like in his 80s. So one of my big messages is don't retire, get refired, because there are some things in you that if you put out to the marketplace, you can monetize. And so we talk a lot about that. And the last thing you want to do in order to enjoy a common financial success is this. You want to create what I call financial leverage. Now, financial leverage I define as this. It's the ability to earn more money with less effort. Now, I think most people have an interest in what? Earning more money with less effort. Now, when it comes to leverage, a number of ways to create it. But when I talk about leverage and I'm talking about in the area of your finances, what you got to do is you have to understand that everybody understands leverage, but most people who are handling their money. So if you think about your bank definitely understands leverage. What do? They take your deposits and they keep it moving out through what? Credit cards, student loans, mortgages. They understand leverage. Your landlord, if you've ever been a landlord or if have had a landlord, they understand leverage. So what they do is they take your rent and do what? They pay either some or all their mortgage with the money that you give them. They understand leverage. Your employer understands leverage, right? That means that if you have 4 or 5 people in your department, everybody works 8 hours. Well, the corporation is benefiting from, just say if it's 10 people, it's 80 hours, and everybody works 8 hours a day. The companies benefit from 80 hours worth of leverage. So everybody understands leverage, but most people do not. If you want to enjoy uncommon financial success, number one, you got to do what? You got to make sure that you have a sense of congruence about your money. Your beliefs, attitudes, and thoughts have to be congruent. Number two, you got to make sure that you're playing both offense as well as defense. You'll never win the money game just playing defense. And then number three, you got to make sure that you create some sort of financial leverage. All right, that's what you got to do to win the money game.